Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana-salakaya Chakshurumanitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupkadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschyata Destarne. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay, so let's continue.
It is the 10th canto begins 5,000 years ago.
5,000?
Yeah, 5,000 years ago. The 10th canto begins 5,000 years ago.
Yeah, thank you. Somehow when I bookmarked it, it didn't bookmark, so thank you for making it record. The 10th canto began 5,000 years ago when the entire world was oppressed by demonic rulers and Prabhupada was comparing the situation then to the present situation. His words were faint but not weak. He was unhesitating sure. Without reference to the supreme power of the personality of Godhead, Prabhupada dictated, demons assert themselves to be the independent kings and presidents, and thus they create a disturbance by increasing their military power. When such disturbances are very prominent, Krishna appears. At present also, various demonic states all over the world are increasing their military powers in many ways, and the whole situation has become distressful. Therefore, Krishna has appeared by his name in the Hare Krishna movement, which will certainly diminish the burden of the world. Philosophers, religionists, and people in general must take to this movement very seriously, for man-made plans and devices will not help bring peace on earth. Srila Prabhupada was like a field general in his tent, and then his disciples were like his infantrymen. They knew sorry. They knew they were hearing his battle strategies even before the information was disseminated through the chain of command. They were thrilled. With faith, they heard that just as Krishna had defeated the demonic rulers, so the Krishna consciousness movement would counteract the demonic culture of the present age. Later on the morning walk, one of the devotees mentioned to Prabhupada that they were planning to put his name on a sign on the door saying that on January 30 at 2:50 a.m., Srila Prabhupada began the 10th canto. Prabhupada was pleasantly surprised that they had heard him. Krishna's flute can be heard in the 10th canto, said Prabhupada, and the chapters 29 through 34 are the smiling face of Krishna. I repeat, Krishna's flute can be heard in the 10th canto, said Prabhupada, and the chapters 29 through 34 are the smiling face of Krishna. Another of Srila Prabhupada's GBC men, Swaswarupa Das Goswami, had recently replaced Rameshwar Swami as Prabhupada's secretary for the month. Srila Prabhupada, Satswarup asked one evening while sitting with Prabhupada in his quarters, when I first came here, Rameshwar Maharaj said that you have been speaking of how Krishna consciousness would rise to power in the United States. And I find it hard to have that vision, since now it is just the opposite. It is true, said Srila Prabhupada. But now it has only taken its roots. You have to water and protect it. Then you will get fruit. You have to give it protection. People must hear about us by our books, and we have to talk about the books. So it is not that it will happen overnight. So it is not that it will happen overnight. No, said Srila Prabhupada. Gradually it will grow. The seed is there. Now protect it by introducing more and more books in every house. Again, Prabhupada referred to the upcoming New York court case. At least tell them to read our books, he said. This is our statement. Our defense is that you first of all read these books and then give your statement. Finish this and then give your judgment. Give them all these 84 books. Srila Prabhupada became excited by the thought of judges and lawyers reading all his books. He was completely serious and he insisted the devotees get the authorities to read the books as legal evidences. Srila Prabhupada continued, Krishna says, Sarva Dharma Parijanja, surrender to me and give up all other religion. Now the question may arise, why we shall surrender? Then you can argue and go on for 3 years. The whole thing will come out. What is God? What is creation? What is your position? Why you should surrender? And so on and so on and so on. What do you think? Yes, we should introduce the books as much as possible, said Satsvarupa. I'll write a letter to New York and tell them to emphasize this. Bring all these books in the court, Prabhupada said. One time in Calcutta, there was a big lawyer named Mr. Ghosh. So, on one case, he brought so many books for argument. The judges were friends, so they were mildly criticized. They mildly criticized him. Oh, Mr. Ghosh, you have brought the whole library. Yes, my lord, said Mr. Ghosh, just to teach you law. Srila Prabhupada laughed and repeated, yes, my lord, just to teach you law. Prabhupada wanted his disciples to apply the same logic in the New York case. If the judge objected and said, why have you brought so many books to bother me? The devotees should reply, you have to hear. It may take 12 years to hear, but you have to hear. This is the law. It sounded difficult, but the devotees knew they would have to try. This was Srila Prabhupada's specific instruction for handling case. We have to say, said Prabhupada, we never tried to brainwash. We have done exactly according to Shastra authority. Here is the evidence. We have not manufactured anything, so they must read all the books. I think you should take defense in that way. Our defense statement is already written in your books, said Harishauri. Certain sections, asked Satsvarupa, or should we say that they have to read all the books? Prabhupada shouted, all, line to line. Our defense is 84 volumes. But they'll say, said Guru Kripa Swami, if we read all these books, we'll become brainwashed too. That is my duty, said Prabhupada. You are trying to brainwash me and I am trying to brainwash you. This is going on. That is the tussle. It is wrestling. You are trying your strength. I am trying my strength. Otherwise, where is their fight? You have got right to not agree with me. I have got right to not agree with you. Now let us settle. In Bhuvaneshwar on February 2nd, the appearance day of Lord Nityananda, Srila Prabhupada held the cornerstone laying ceremony. About 1,000 people came during the day to take prasadam. Seva Sivaratha attended and spoke. Prabhupada's disciple Swarup Damodar also spoke, as did Prabhupada himself. Later, Prabhupada discussed with his disciples about how to manage the Bhuvaneshwar center. Some of the sannyasis admitted to Prabhupada that they did not see much potential there. Why not? Questioned Prabhupada. This is the capital of Orissa. People are coming here. We have to have centers in every town. Even if it is not a big center, some have to work and stay here. Even if the people are coming every night only to eat the khichdi, that is all preaching. One of the devotees said that it was too far from town and that Orissa was too poor. A better idea might be to try to build a big temple in Jagannath Puri. Srila Prabhupada replied that to build in Jagannath Puri was all right, but that Bhuvaneshwar was also important. Prabhupada's Oriyan disciple, Gaur Govind Swami, told Prabhupada that as soon as the annual India pilgrim was over, all the devotees would leave and he would be left alone with 1 or 2 brahmacharis. He was particularly suited to translating Prabhupada's books in Oriya, so he asked Prabhupada to give him someone to help manage the center. Where is the fat one? Asked Prabhupada. Bring him here. And the devotee ran out to fetch Bhagavat. At the time the devotee found him, Bhagavat was sitting in the visitor's tent telling the other devotees about his plans to go to New York. When he heard Srila Prabhupada wanted to see him, he assumed it was in connection with the cornerstone laying ceremony since he was in charge. But as soon as he entered Prabhupada's room, he sensed something heavy was about to happen. Srila Prabhupada smiled and asked Bhagavat how he was. I am fine, Srila Prabhupada. How would you like to stay here and manage this place? Well, Srila Prabhupada, I don't really think I can stay here. It's too hard. Couldn't you stay here and build this building? I could, but it is very difficult. And I was all set to go to New York. Bhagavat began excitedly telling Prabhupada about a telegram from Adikeshava Swami in New York, inviting him to come and head a important preaching department in the temple. New York, said Srila Prabhupada. They have too many men in New York already. You don't have to go to New York. You should stay here. Bhagavat objected. He couldn't work with Gargamuni Swami, the GBC man, for this area of India. Prabhupada replied that he was sending Gargamuni to Bangladesh. He wouldn't be in charge of ISKCON in Oriya anymore. Prabhupada would personally supervise Bhagavat. Bhagavad Das. Next objection was that his health was not good and he had to sleep a lot. It is very healthy place, Prabhupada countered. You simply go out in the field to pass stool, then wash with your lota and afterwards clean the lota with the mud. And you can bath with the same lota. In this way, you can stay clean and healthy. Bhagavad then raised his ultimate objection. Srila Prabhupada, he said, to tell you the truth, I am not chanting my rounds. I think I am better to go to New York. I would better go to New York because there is good association there and I can become strong in my regulations. That's all right, Prabhupada replied. You are working very hard. So if sometimes you aren't chanting your rounds, that's all right. As long as you are working hard, you can do your rounds at another time. Well, Srila Prabhupada said, Bhagavad Das, according to Guru Ashtakam, I can understand that whenever you please the spiritual master, you please Krishna. Prabhupada smiled, yes. So if you want me to stay here, then I should stay. Yes, I want you to stay here. Make life members, build this building and help manage the place. Although Prabhupada had laid a cornerstone for a temple, the center had no funds or donors in sight of and no established congregation. All the devotees had not had was faith in Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's train was to leave at 11 o'clock the next night, and Prabhupada sat in his little hut talking with his disciples until it was time to go. The conversation ranged from World War II politics to 10th cant of Srimad Bhagavatam. At one point, Srila Prabhupada was saying how man cannot change the laws of nature. Man should not claim that he knows something or can do something unless he can stop the miseries of birth, death, disease, and old age. My position means my karma. Prabhupada explained. If I am in the plush Bhaktivedanta manner, I have the same suffering as I do in this hut. If I think now I am in manner, I am happy, that is foolishness. But that is how they think. Then why are they dying? They should stop that. Can you, my disciples, help me in old age? You may try your best, but you should admit it is beyond your power. But as soon as you go back home, back to Godhead, everything is solved. He spoke about diets. Ghee was not good for him, but to eat only boiled food was like starving. He said he was capable of fasting. If you give me nothing to eat for 3 days, I can do it. Gargamuni told Srila Prabhupada of a man who knew in Calcutta who was healthy at 90 and who attributed his health and longevity to his strict diet of only fruits. Gargamuni suggested Prabhupada try that diet and Prabhupada agreed. Prabhupada mentioned the diet of his spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He said, ate very little, but not only fruits. He liked to eat salty things and his favorite preparation was made from chickpeas flour and peanuts fried in ghee. After the talk, when devotees were commenting about Prabhupada's proposed food diet, Harisauri remarked affectionately, he has said that before, but he will never do it. On the overnight train ride to Calcutta, Prabhupada could not rest because of two drunken men in the next compartment. Throughout the night, they were howling and addressing each other. Oh, dear Mukherjee. Oh, Mr. Chatterjee. Prabhupada remarked with disgust that these were the names of Bengali Brahman families, but that now they had become drunkards. Jagannath Puri, he said, has been a holy place for thousands of years, but within a few years it would be so no longer. People were using Puri as a seaside resort for recreation. People like Dr. Mukherjee and Mr. Chatterjee who had no understanding of spiritual life. As the train pulled into Howrah station, Prabhupada sat for a few minutes before disembarking. The vendors' loud cries of chai, chai punctuated the overall din of humanity and machines. Chai, chai, tea, tea. This modern society, Prabhupada sighed, it is very painful to even see their faces. They have fallen so much. But seeing their faces, you become polluted. Last night, they disturbed us so much and they think they are happy. They're enjoying life. But we have to take the risk, said Satsvarupa, to go and preach. Yes, said Prabhupada. If you are engaged in preaching, you are not affected. Sometimes yogis go to Himalayas just to avoid seeing the face of vicious persons. They practice yoga in a sacred and solitary place. Otherwise, what is this? Simply chai, 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 and cigarette, beedi, talking nonsense, drinking. Yet the Vedic system is still in India. In the morning, they take bath in the villages. In the cities also, at least those who come from the village. You will find in Bombay, many poor men are taking bath early in the morning. You have seen they will wash their floor, take bath. With fond thoughts of pure life in Vedic village, Srila Prabhupada left the station, passing through the crowds and the noise. He knew Calcutta well, better than any of his disciples. The poverty, chaos, and political slogans did not faze him. It was his hometown, but he had no mundane connections there. Sorry. There, he was coming only for a few days to preach, then on to Mayapur. Mayapur, February 7, 1977. More than 80 Bengali Gurukul boys, along with some 100 other devotees, greeted Prabhupada with a kirtan at the front gate of Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir. The entire ISKCON land seemed to be blooming with flowers, and the freshly painted temple building shone like the first reddish rays of dawn. The new building, a long residential building, was almost completed. Back to home, back to Godhead. Prabhupada said softly, back to home, back to Godhead. Prabhupada said softly as his car entered the gate and slowly proceeded toward the temple. He was arriving 3 weeks before hundreds of devotees from all over the world were scheduled to come and be with him for the celebration of Gaur Purnima appearance of Lord Chaitanya. Bhavananda Goswami and Jayapatak Swami, Srila Prabhupada's leaders of ISKCON Mayapur, ushered him through the crowd of Gurukul boys and the devotees up to the DT room, where he beheld board before the shining golden forms of Sri Radha Madhava. Later, while sitting in his room on the second floor, Srila Prabhupada complimented the devotees for making the grounds so beautiful and clean. Hundreds of flowers decorated his room like a gorgeous garden. These flowers are your first success, said Prabhupada. He sat back, relaxed with special pleasure and satisfaction he felt when in the atmosphere of his beloved Mayapur. For Krishna's service, he said, you submit some plan, and he is very glad. We want some flower for Krishna's service, and Krishna is supplying everything we want for Krishna and not for our sense gratification. For Krishna, we can endeavor multifariously. That is the contribution of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Srila Prabhupada said that prior to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, the Vaishnavas used to live retired lives in Vrindavan, no preaching. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was the first to demonstrate how pure devotees can preach in sophisticated ways, even living in big buildings and utilizing automobiles in the service of Krishna. People may be envious that these devotees are living in palatial buildings, said Prabhupada, but Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said only the devotees shall live in palatial buildings. Only devotees. Just like government servants are given the best places to live in. Similarly, those who are devotees, they shall be given all facilities. Not extravagancy, not luxury, but nice food, nice place, nice facilities, and chant Hare Krishna. This is our mission. This is not dry. Especially you coming from America and Europe, you are not accustomed to the hardships of Indian people. You must have the bare necessities of comfort and serve Krishna. This I am trying to do and utilize. Prabhupada thanked the devotees present for working in Krishna consciousness, and he reiterated his familiar formula that American brains and American money combined with Indian culture could turn the whole world into a heaven. Later, Srila Prabhupada went to oversee the new building. The longest building in West Bengal, Jayapatak Swami said, more than 700 feet. Srila Prabhupada said it looked like a train. He inspected all the rooms one by one and emphasized that they must be ready in time for the festival. Walking along the veranda, he remarked, "Oh, it is just like a Fifth Avenue." The next few days were quiet. Prabhupada would sit taking his massage in the evening. Later, in the massage in the late morning on the roof, amid hundreds of potted plants, leaning on the rail of veranda outside his room one day, he looked out. He looked down onto the lawn where one of the women was picking flowers for the deities. "This is temple," he said. "Always something going on, and with each flower picked, she advances in spiritual life a little more." Prabhupada particularly liked that the Mayapur Chandrodaya Mandir was always being expanded and improved. He liked to look out from the veranda and see guests arriving, devotees working, and new plans manifesting. But Prabhupada's ill health persisted. An imbalance of pitta and vata, bile and air, he said. One morning, when his servant asked him how he felt, he replied, "Very bad." But sometime after a very bad morning, he would feel much better. The devotees did not think of Prabhupada's illness in a material way, but it caused them anxiety. Over the years, he had gone through various health crises, and the devotees knew that these illnesses were transcendental, directly controlled by Krishna. In 1974, when he had been very ill in Vrindavan, he had said that the cause was his disciples not strictly following the rules and principles of Krishna consciousness. His disciples knew they had to strictly follow his orders if they actually cared for his health. He would go on taking risks, accepting more disciples, traveling and preaching, but his disciples had to avoid acting in a way that would disturb his health. Mostly the devotees preferred to think that Prabhupada's health would soon improve. And Srila Prabhupada himself did not dwell on the subject. He was too absorbed in spreading the Krishna consciousness movement. A few days after his arrival, Srila Prabhupada journeyed by car and ferry to Navadvip to visit the ashrama of his god brother Bhakti Rakshaka Sridhar Maharaj. But while walking up the steep stone steps, Prabhupada's legs suddenly gave way and he collapsed. Fortunately, Harisauri was close enough to catch him. It was the second time Prabhupada had collapsed in less than 2 weeks. Both times he had been actively preaching, and both times he had continued on his way with no mention of what had happened. In Bhubaneswar, Srila Prabhupada had promised Swarup Damodar he would go to Manipur with him after the Mayapur festival. Manipur, an independent country north of India, was mentioned in the Vedic literature. Prabhupada said Arjuna's wife Chitrangada had come from Manipur, and it had been ruled by Krishna conscious Kshatriyas. Now Srila Prabhupada, encouraged by Swarup Damodar, who was born and raised in Manipur, was eager to go and try to revive a Krishna conscious state there. But with his weakening health, he questioned whether he should travel. Harishauri, who had been with Prabhupada continually for 18 months, felt that Prabhupada's health was not likely to improve. And in one sense, the Krishna consciousness movement was spreading so widely under Prabhupada's direction that it was perhaps not so necessary for Prabhupada to travel, at least not with the extraordinary expenditure of energy and strength that he had been displaying for last 10 years. Maybe he could retire from traveling. Even during the previous summer, when he had been traveling in the United States, he had once remarked that he simply wanted to go there to become encouraged by how well his his devotees were managing everything by themselves. He used to say that he had laid the foundation and erected the framework for the building of the Krishna consciousness movement. Now his followers simply had to fill it in. He would often say he had injected medicine into the system of materialistic society. Now it would spread and act. He also said he had ignited the fire that would now rage around the world. Therefore, although he was always anxious of his movement, he had confidence. One morning, just after breakfast, Prabhupada was on his veranda looking out across the land of Mayapur. Turning to Harisauri, he said, "Actually, it does not matter even if I die immediately. I have given the basis for everything, and now, if they simply manage things nicely and follow whatever programs I have begun, then everything will be successful." Harisauri was disturbed to hear such statements and remained speechless. Then Prabhupada added, "But still, I would like to finish this Srimad Bhagavatam." Srila Prabhupada's stays at ISKCON Mayapur had been quiet, but as the GBC men began arriving from the west, he heard the latest news of fierce opposition to Krishna consciousness in America. Tamal Krishna Goswami and Brahmananda Swami, coming from New York, reported that the case in which the Adikesha Swami was being charged with mind control would be heard later in March, and that the judge had given Adikesha permission to come and see Srila Prabhupada. They also told Prabhupada that several other devotees have been kidnapped, and that in some cases, parents had secured legal conservatorship through judges to abduct the devotees. "What is the complaint of opposing party?" asked Prabhupada. Again, as when he had argued with Rameshwar Swami, he defended the Krishna consciousness movement while his disciples fired materialistic arguments at him. It was not just an exercise, he was training his disciples. He had to answer any arguments that had discouraged or weakened them. And beyond that, he was actually the ultimate defender of Krishna consciousness. "They say we are zombies," said Brahmananda. "Zombies?" Prabhupada asked. "What is that?" "Zombie," said Harisauri, "like a robot. We have no brain. We are like machines. They say we have no freedom of choice." "Children have got also the same thing," replied Prabhupada. But the father stops. "Children want to play. They do not like to go to school. Father does not like it." Is that father's attempt to check the child's freedom? Every father is doing that. The government is doing that. Why the government is checking criminals? Prabhupada was interested to hear other news, and Tamal Krishna Goswami replied on the news, the new ISKCON farm in Pennsylvania and on the restaurant in the New York City. Brahmananda Swami talked about their new farm in America, and both he and Tamal Krishna gave their impression of things at Hare Krishna land in Bombay and reported on Gopal Krishna's progress in printing Prabhupada's books in various Indian languages. "So this is the thing that is starting to happen now," said Tamal Krishna. "They are lobbying in the Congress of United States to pass laws that if someone is abnormal, then the parent should have the right to commit him to psychological treatments, even though the child may be 50 years old and the parents 70 years old. If the parents think that the child is not sane, then they have the right to have the child committed. This is very dangerous," said Prabhupada. They told Prabhupada of a devotee who had been kidnapped while distributing books at an airport. The court had given the girl's parents legal authority to have her confined for 30 days in a special center in Arizona run by deprogrammers. They also told him that among the lobbyists advocating kidnapping were powerful groups of Christians and Jews who had become active because they saw that other movements, not only the Krishna consciousness movement, were taking young people away from the religion of their parents. Tamal Krishna suggested that a probable result of ISKCON's court case in New York would be to establish ISKCON as bona fide. Defenders of civil rights in America were alarmed at the threat to constitutional liberties, and therefore the court case was generating great interest. It was a test of freedom of religion. Tamal Krishna told Prabhupada it was the biggest test case of the decade, and that the American Civil Liberties Union had taken it as one of their main priorities. 2 states have passed laws making this deprogramming legal, said Brahmananda Swami. And they also give tax exemption. That means the government is giving support. "Yes," said Prabhupada. You are afraid of that. You are afraid that these Krishna conscious men may capture the government." "Yes," agreed Tamal Krishna Goswami. "Some of them are saying that the Krishna conscious organization is very powerful and that our ambition is to take over the world." Srila Prabhupada laughed. "That's a fact. Well, let us see. It is a fight between Krishna and demon. Let us do our duty and chant Hare Krishna. Everything will be all right. There were so many demons. Prahlad Maharaj was 5-year-old boy and his father was such a big demon. But still Prahlad Maharaj was victorious. Similarly, you are all like Prahlad Maharaj. The fight is there. Chant Hare Krishna. Depend on Krishna. You will come out victorious. Narsimhadev will come. So the poison of Krishna consciousness is acting now. That is good. If you come out victorious, that will be a great victory. As they spoke, the electricity went off, and Prabhupada's room, as well as the rest of the building, was in darkness. Within a few moments, a devotee entered with a kerosene lantern. Prabhupada began to reminisce, saying that electricity had been introduced in India when he was a young boy. At first, not every house could afford electricity, he said, and if a man had a good gas light in his house, he was considered rich. He said the street lamps were carbon arc, and the man who changed the carbon rods would throw the used ones in the street. When the carbon would be changed, said Prabhupada, they would throw, and we children would collect them. What would you do with them? Asked Tamal Krishna. Srila Prabhupada laughed and said, play. We have collected something. So electricity was introduced in our life when we were at 10 or 12. But still you are able to read, said Brahmananda. Yes, said Prabhupada. With this lantern, he recalled that his father would purchase kerosene for the lantern. His father was not rich, but by buying and stocking things in quantity, he used to amply provide for his family. Life was simple then, Prabhupada concluded, but civilized. The sannyasis began telling Prabhupada about how a military dictatorship had taken over in Argentina and had officially banned the Krishna consciousness movement. $20,000 worth of books had been seized and the devotees had been arrested. Many other persons were being regularly arrested or shot in the streets. Things are deteriorating everywhere, said Prabhupada. Very quickly, added Brahmananda. Srila Prabhupada, so this will give impetus to Krishna consciousness. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani. Don't be disappointed. Krishna will act through his movement and kill them. These demons, how it will be done, that you cannot know now, but it will be done. Let us remain true soldiers. That's all. And suppose you die in the field, in the fight. Fight means with bow, with determination, either to gain victory or die. Because it is a fight against Maya. Why you shall be afraid of being killed? When there is a fight, one must know that either I am going to be killed or gain victory. Jīva va mara va. Those who are devotees, either they live or they die. It's the same thing. While they live, they are serving Krishna. When they die, they will serve Krishna. Jīva va mara va. Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti. He goes to Krishna. So what is the loss? We are working for Krishna. And if we die, we go to Krishna. What is the loss? Lord Krishna appears when religious principles are disturbed. Bhagavad Gita 4:7. At the time of death, the Krishna consciousness person goes to Krishna. Bhagavad Gita 4:9. A few days later, Adi Keshava Swami arrived in Mayapur to see Srila Prabhupada. Adi Keshava was only 23 years old. A few days later, against his law's advice, he had come to India in desperation to see Srila Prabhupada. For the preliminary hearings, he had worn a business suit and a regular haircut, but now he appeared before Srila Prabhupada with shaven head and saffron robes. Other sannyasis had also arrived and they all gathered in Prabhupada's room eager to get his direction. This movement is not brainwashing, Prabhupada began. We are brain giving. First of all, you must have brain. Then there is a question of brainwashing. But you have no brain. Rupa, you do not know what is this life. You cannot explain what is the difference between a dead man and a living man. You have got so many big scientists and philosophers, but you do not know. So where is your brain? First of all, prove your brain. Then there can be a question of washing. It is not brainwashing, it is brain giving moment. Unfortunately, you have no brain, therefore you misunderstand. On this point, the Bhagavad Gita will explain. What do you think? Brainwashing or brain giving? Yes, said Adikeshav. This is good. Prabhupada said the devotees should consult among themselves, write an essay, and send it to the court. His main point was that most people could not understand the simple truth of the soul. They are in the need of knowledge, and the Krishna consciousness movement is giving essential knowledge of the soul. Therefore, it is brain giving movement. Adikeshav took the role of antagonist. Well, he said, I have a brain and it's functioning. Otherwise, how could I be speaking to you now? How could I even answer you? But that speaking and the dog's barking are the same thing, said Prabhupada. The dog is barking. What is the difference? He is speaking in a different language, that's all. The dog is barking and you are speaking. What is the difference? Adikeshav. But they say, we have art, we have science. Whatever you may have, Prabhupada replied, you cannot answer the ultimate question. Arguments flew back and forth as other devotees in the room challenged Prabhupada's logic. But Prabhupada stuck to main point. If a man does not know the difference between a dead man and a living man, if he doesn't know the soul, then he has no brain. When the devotees mentioned faith in scriptures, Prabhupada said that he was not arguing on the basis of scripture, but on logic. Whatever arguments they raised, Prabhupada strongly defeated. There was no trace of illness or weakness in Prabhupada's demeanor as he drilled his men on how to defend by aggressive argument. They say that this discussion is beyond our intelligence, said Adikeshav. If you say beyond your intelligence, said Srila Prabhupada, that means you have no brain. In Prabhupada's association, Adikeshav gained strength and conviction. They complained, said Adikeshav, that if one becomes a devotee, he suffers from loss of identity. But actually, they do not know who they are. So we will challenge them like that. What is this loss of identity? You don't even know who you are. So you have nothing to lose. Yes, said Prabhupada with great spirit. What is your identification? That you do not know. We are teaching that by identifying yourself with his body, you have lost your identity. Most of their charges, said Adikeshav, are based on misconception about our movement. For instance, they say that we do not eat enough or sleep enough, yet we have studies from their own scientists that say our diet is good. Srila Prabhupada, how we are living if our diet is not good? 10 years we are eating insufficiently, then how we are living? You do not know what is good food, but the result you have to know. A cow eats so much grass, and a human being eats a small plateful. If the cow says you are not eating sufficiently like me, is that logic? No, said Adikeshav, it is not logic. Prabhupada, so you are just like cows and asses. You eat voraciously. Does it mean I have to eat voraciously? But what proof is there? Asked Aditamal Krishna Goswami. They may argue for proof of the soul. This is proof, said Srila Prabhupada. Now, if the real active principle has left, if you can understand it, then replace it. Replace life. If you cannot, then you have no brain. Prabhupada argued that at death, although the parts of the body remained, something was missing. But you have not seen that something, said Tamal Krishna. So, see it or not, said Prabhupada. I can see. Why this man is dead? Something is missing. Well, said Tamal Krishna. It's just like a machine. Srila Prabhupada became fiery. A machine you can replace? Why don't you bring a new body and replace the dead one? Therefore, you have no brain. It is completely different thing. Prabhupada said, this philosophy of soul should be presented in the court. It will be very interesting, he said. The case will prolong and we can disclose our whole philosophy. Is it not? Think deeply, over and over and fight. Tell them what is your seeing. You cannot see beyond this world. Does it mean there is nothing? Why depend on your seeing, rascal? You are being brainless. I take it as a good opportunity for describing our whole philosophy. Don't take it as otherwise. Rather, prove yourself sufficient in this subject matter. This is a trial examination. The devotees told Prabhupada how critics were examining the Srimad Bhagavatam and trying to find fault with the devotees on the basis of their philosophy. They were challenged in the court about Prabhupada's statement that man had not gone to the moon. I personally did not go with you, said Srila Prabhupada. So how shall I believe? From the practical point of view, I did not go. It is just some news. So why should I accept it? They believe so some paper, that's all. So why shall we not believe the Vedic literatures? Vedic literature is so authoritative. It has been accepted by the acharyas. Next, the devotee began talking about how the parents and deprogrammers justified their use of force. This clouds the illusion in the courtroom, said Tamal Krishna Goswami, because everyone naturally feels very sympathetic toward the fathers and mothers. Why don't you quote from our Shastras? Replied Srila Prabhupada that he is not a father, Pita, Nasa Shas. Find this verse. Pradyumna had the book off the shelf and his finger on the verse within a few seconds. He read, Guru na sasyat swa jano nasya na sa syat pita na sa syad janani na sa syat daivam na tat syan na patissa ya syan na mojayed yah samupeta mrityum. One who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, mother, or worshipable demigod. So, how is he the father? Ask Prabhupada. What is the purport? Adikesha Swami. They argue sometimes that you will argue your point, interrupted Prabhupada, but our point is there. We shall argue from our point of view. Unless the father releases the son from the cycle of birth and death, he is not father. Prabhupada never let up and finally he concluded, if you try to advise a rascal, he will be angry. So this is the position. Still, we have to do our business. What can we do? Difficult task. Therefore, if you want to please Krishna, very quickly struggle for preaching. Ya idam paramam guhyam mad bhaktam abhidasyati. So we have got our business to please Krishna. That is our mission. So, despite so many inconveniences, we have to do this business. Mudhoyam nabijanati lokomam ajam avyayam. That they are all mudas. So, we have been engaged to teach them some lesson. I am never manifested to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my eternal creative potency, Yoga Maya. And so the deluded world knows me not, who am unborn and infallible. Bhagavad Gita 7:25. I'll stop here. Or let's see if I can go forward. Yep, I'll stop here. Hare Krishna Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji, for this. Yeah, it was very, wonderful. How Prabhupada convinced his disciple to stay there in India. And so many arguments. And
The good thing is that they all had so much deep, close, intimate relationship with Prabhupada that is the reason Prabhupada could go completely barrier free. Yeah. And he was bold. No need of putting all this makhan. No need to say what he wanted to say. He was very clear. Prabhupada, he was also very carefully taking his time, how much time he has, right? So within those few years, he wanted to make it every opportunity beneficial for the devotees, beneficial for his disciples, for upcoming devotees, for the world. Yeah. Yes. Bhagavat Prabhu.
yes, Prabhuji. Yeah, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Others.
So Prabhuji, during that time, so many people, so many devotees were shot in USA. So that was very,
During what time?
I think in Argentina or where I think you mentioned during Prabhupada's time. So when uh, they were shot and arrested, books were sealed for 20,000 euros. They mentioned
Mhm.
during that time. So
Yeah.
people, so devotees were shot also. I mean, in America.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm also quite eager to read next chapters to see how again, how the brainwashing, deprogramming, all those things are gone. I would say even in Germany we had this ups and downs. There was a time where there was a lot of challenges here. Yeah, because of some propaganda, some people were thinking, religion people are converted. This Jews or Christians mainly. They attacked even, you remember if you read the history of Simhachalam, in that Sachinandan Maharaj writes that they were shooting, uh, yeah, so much violence was there. I don't know whether the violence was only on us or whether it was also for other religious movements. But yeah, there's always this war between devotees and demons, right? Yeah. So now again, slowly, gradually, the government is seeing ISKCON as a very sattvic organization, very responsible, yeah, non-harmful, non-radical, yeah, yeah. So these things, yeah. So I think in the case of UK, when things happened, which were, um, yeah, which were not so normal, which can immediately change the face of ISKCON in the UK. But by the time already ISKCON had good connections to the mayor, local mayors, even to the higher political hierarchy, due to which ISKCON was already recognized as a very nice organization, and people who try to uh, challenge or who try to disturb, who wanted to depopularize, that was handled. In Germany, I mean, they are not still, even now, there are not too many contacts to the ruling. Yeah. So we see ourselves as a very small, humble organization, Krishna consciousness. Yeah, I open my shop. If you come, you buy. Otherwise, I close the shop. A typical German mentality. Hmm? Satish Prabhu?
Yes, Roji. Yeah, you are right in terms of in Simachalam. I remember there's a book that talks about the struggles. Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhuji. And also in this lilamrta, I think Prabhupada was telling, okay, even if we go to the courts, it's fine. They can hear. I think seeing positivity in every that too at this age when his body is not accommodative. These are
Yeah.
all
So
we have.
Prabhupada disciples were so convinced, yeah, that what Prabhupada says, yeah, otherwise if someone is telling, hey, go to the court and put all the books in front of them,
Yes, Prabhuji.
we may think, what is he talking? Maybe of his age, yeah, not understanding real grounds. But because their devotees also understood, and Prabhupada was really talking at a logic, and this is very important for preachers. Always, I mean, if you see in this whole what we read, it's very important that for preaching, it's not important about um, what we are doing, what we ask them to do. It is more about logic, rather than only saying at a religious, or a, faith. It is more about logic where we can also build bridges to other faiths, yeah, through logic. Because other really, if you say, if you go to Christianity and if you say something, Krishna and etc., they may not. But if you go through logic, yeah, you will easily win. Yeah, you even, because in the end, all this logic makes sense for Sattvic, now whether you are Christian or not Christian or something. Religiously, they see, okay, we all want to worship the Lord. That's simple, right? We all want to worship higher energy. That is simple. So in that way, we should see to whom we are preaching, and accordingly we have to pick the right technique.
Yes, Prabhuji, completely agree. And then to me, I think, seeing even in the lowest of low, seeing the positivity is like, I think for Prabhupada, nothing was lowest of low, because every opportunity he saw in Krishna's thing. The only thing that I recollect was like once he said like he used to walk by the Brooklyn Bridge and sit in the banks and think how is he going to do, why Krishna sent him.
Mm.
How they have this Brooklyn ISKCON temple, New York temple is all like the hallmark of Rath Yatra, Prabhuji. Total.
Recently, when we were in home program at Omkareshwar Prabhu's place, Bhakti Bhushan Maharaj was saying something. I don't know. Adrasa Prabhu, do you remember? What did Prabhupada think? You are on mute.
Let's try something.
Let us try anyways.
Yeah, anyways, yeah.
Anyway, let's try anyway. Yeah, so it's not like, okay, we can do it, that is a spirit. Let's try anyway. When Bhakti Bhushan Maharaj was telling that, I could recollect of the spirit of Jatayu. Yeah. Jatayu, when he was fighting against who? Ravana. What is the chances? 1:2. Anyone? Any guess? Yeah. What is the ratio? Very, very less, right? It is like fighting against a superpower. Just like a country like, is Cuba a country?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Is it also the smallest country?
Not the smallest, but it is a small country, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I mean,
it is like Taiwan and China. It is like Taiwan is a very small country. China is trying to control Taiwan. So
a good example. So what are the chances? Very, very less. But but the fighting is still there, right? The spirit of not giving up and doing whatever. And then what result Jatayu got is that Lord Ram himself cremated, right? All the funeral rites of Jatayu are done by Lord Ram. So we have Neha Vikramana Aswasya Pratyavayo Avijyate Swalpamapi Yasya Dharmasya. Even if we render a little service, we get best. There is no loss in it. Because Arjuna is asking Krishna, what happens if we are halfway? We can start from halfway later. So there is no loss, which means we can always keep on going.
Yes,
Okay. Anyway, it's not a preaching program now, but we can see from Prabhupada how boldly he is, and then how he made his army. Now we see, by reading all this, we can see how Prabhupada disciples are so special. So we say, they're very, very empowered. They're empowered, really, because they had access to this direct words. No other thought, no other something, no half-mindedness. So complete, what do you call, acceptance. What Prabhupada said, and just they did it. Now, I don't know if you have gone to Vrindavan, Radhakund, there is Swarup Damodar Maharaj Samadhi Mandir, right?
yes, Prabhuji.
See, amazing. Still, wow. How big is Manipur? Very, very small. And see, I really like their Bali. There is a kirtan. Swarup Damodar Maharaj sang very nice. I'll get it for you. I'll find. I know from who has it. I'll try to get it again. So nice, very melodious, because the people
Yes,
there
Prabhuji. Yeah.
cultured, Krishna conscious, Satvik. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for joining. I hope these evenings are nice to get into the weekends. And we continue. Yeah. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Satsvarupa Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.